Alright lads, you're with the Budget Monk. Welcome to a new update video. So as you can see, we formed the nation of Rome. I formed it this year. We've done very little since then. 1677, guys. 1677. So as I've spoken about many times before, we should be larger in other regions. But in Europe, we are a fair bit larger, I would say. And 1677 is not too bad in terms of my other campaigns. I've had some campaigns where it's earlier, some where it's later, forming Rome. But all in all, Innival South, we're doing okay. However, I would say with the addition of Mexico and Russia, we're doing really well. I think we're doing really well. Also, the fact I've released these now, because we need one tag, the fact that we have owned 4 colonies, and there's more Hussite in the New World, that really helps us with the one faith aspect of this game, which is one of the scariest aspects, because they need to be your religion before you can culture convert them, right? Speaking of culture converting, we are now officially Roman, and that shenanigan is gone. Any tag switching, anything, nothing. There's nothing remaining. We are actually Imperial German Ideas. That is our idea group. We have the quote-unquote Roman missions, which of course are the same as the tag that formed the German missions. That's exactly what we want. We're going to pop this -5 years of separatism to help get rid of separatism towards the end of the game, because you cannot culture convert with separatism. So once we own the entire world and we're ready, pop that. And yeah, this is us. Obviously, most of you guys know, but trading companies are most of our subjects now. We have Nitra and the Palatinate are my 2 vassals. And we have our 2 personal unions. We still have 2 colonial nations remaining, which are only temporary because we need to one-tag the world. And I actually even have relation slots for allies, guys. How about that? So I'm allying people who are way away. We did it as an effort to overcome the coalition from keeping us down and forcing my hand to attack people that I didn't necessarily want to attack while we were pushing for the Roman borders. As you can see here, we have a lot of overextension, and I actually fed this land to the Palatinate to reduce that overextension. So this is required to form Rome, needless to say, but you do not have to have cores on every one of the provinces. So we actually formed Rome, and then I handed that off. We also have this. This was required to form Rome, and we went in here because we're going to begin Deus Volding into Asia, as we want to go hard right now, guys. We really want to go hard, and we're still waiting on that imperialism CB. But yeah, so I dropped the culture conversion for the first time from the parliament, and by using the 10% from German missions, I believe it comes from missions, I believe. Germany has 10%. Yep, there they have it. 10% culture conversion cost reduction, and this here, that's 45% from those modifiers. Long story short, we're capped, guys. We got 25% there, and the policy is 45 as well, which of course is 90%, which is the cultural conversion cap. And there is another modifier though, which makes you go even below the culture conversion for people who do not understand the mechanics, which is adjacency. So adjacency is a additive multiplier. It's an addition, an additional 25%. So in our case, 30 is the maximum. None of them go over 30 cost, but you will have ones that take longer based on, you can see the month duration is 10 times the months of the development, 10 times the development in months. So the duration does increase for larger provinces, but the cost does not. Now, ideally, as long as we have time, we spread the culture like a plague. So you can see here, sitting at the capacity of reduction, we were actually capped on points, and I'm spreading it like a plague here. Adjacency, adjacency, adjacency. So Roman will consume the world. This is what we're going to be doing next session. How are we all believers now, guys, in YouTube? I'm just wondering. I mean, for people who don't realize, it's 22 points. The most expensive provinces are 22s here. Do you see that adjacency? So Warsaw is over 30 dev. It's 31 dev. I can tell by dividing the months by 10. It's 31 dev, 22 cost. So as long as we spread the culture, this may as well be Beijing. This may as well be the largest province in the world, 22 cost. And they go all the way down to actually 0 if they're in, for example, Siberia or the New World. Actually, 0. Yeah. So I don't want this to go on forever, guys. I'm going to talk about the tactic, the approach that I have in mind right now. Now, remember, because of the reduced autonomy issue, this isn't representative of where we actually are. Last time I looked, I was only around 415 force limit, because of course our autonomy is so much worse than it is. However, there has been quite some turmoil going on in our country. We now dominate Genoa, but I've had some merchants disappear and stuff like that. We have to rework our merchants, basically. We're also massively overextended, and this cripples your trade power abroad. Do you see that? Negative 150% trade power abroad. So basically your trade, like pulling from, for example, Persia, I've got 0% here. Whereas we were like 100% in Aleppo, and therefore we were pulling like 20% from Persia. Now it's nothing and very little and nothing, you can see. So in actuality, what I'm trying to say is when we fixed our merchants and get rid of this overextension, we were making this much money. We were making over the economic hegemony, the requirement to take the economic hegemon. So this is representative of how rich we actually are, which is beautiful. Why? Because I could be going for the economic hegemon, but I want the military hegemon. I want it as quickly as I possibly can. And if you look, when you take the military hegemon, you get 10% reduced war score cost from taking it. You don't need to wait. You don't need any of the other bonuses. You need, as soon as you take it, 10% reduced war score cost. And that's what we want. So pretty much with this money, what I want to do from now on is we just got these from the tech, our most recent military tech. We just got them. And we should be able to do at least one of these per month. And obviously, you do not get the full 2 force limit per building, unfortunately, because the autonomy here, which is bugged out, it is 80. In our case, let me think about this. You obviously have 90 autonomy, and we've taken this here, which puts us at 80 autonomy in a province. Now, in our case, when we look at our trading companies, look at that beautiful Roman color. I love the trading companies because it's so unique and very vivid here. You can see the trading company map mode, really nice. We're adding everything. We're beginning to add everything. The downside to adding everything to trading companies is your governing capacity, but we now have this building. So if we build the town hall everywhere, it's the minimum anyway. So basically, trading company investments to make money, reducing the governing capacity, which is not urgent because we're over it, but that will be something we want to do, and then investing in the conscription centers. So in provinces that have a lack of building slots, like this is a good example. We will have the town hall and the conscription center. And the reason I talk about it is because when we trade in company a full area like Ragusa, we can do this investment here, which I have done in many of my trading regions, which has reduced autonomy by 5% in the entire region, by 5 autonomy in every province in the entire region. So, of course, that autonomy gives you the manpower, the force limit, and stuff like that. The force limit is what we're looking for. I've done a little bit of calculations, and you can do this officers' mess for 5 force limit. That's 1 per trading region. However, the reduced autonomy in the entire trading region is kind of comparable. It doesn't often give you 5, but my theory is that the reason that this doesn't give you 2 is because that force limit, it adds the total force limit of the provinces, and then that is reduced by autonomy. But my thoughts are that if we have one of these in every single province, and then reduce it by 5, that maybe the reduced autonomy will give us 5 or more. Like when I did it in Constantinople, it increased our force limit by 4. So debatably, it's much better than the 5 because it's also giving us, increased tax and manpower and so on as well. But like I said, my theory is that by the time I finish building these, it will give us even more than that, which obviously makes it better. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And now there is a purpose. This is a good example, guys. Right now we are in Western Europe. Our capital is Rome. So if we look at the Baltic Charter, I could only potentially trading company this in Eastern Europe, this block here, on the southern side of the Baltic Sea. So if we look at these, What the? This left there's a weird issue, guys, when you tag switch that things do leave trading companies. We've encountered that already, and I just realized it happened in the Baltic. Well, that's really annoying because I did trading company investments here, so no wonder that's why I'm losing one of my merchants. That's really stupid. You can see these were removed because there's the 5-year cooldown, but I did not remove them. So I'm quite resentful of that because we invested in these trading companies. Stupid game. Regardless, right now we're not going to annex Russia, right? So this is all we own. Well, this is where we would do the 5 force limit for just straight up 5 force limit, right? And now that's kind of overridden by what I'm about to tell you. One of our next moves is to move our capital to the Falklands. Yes, the Falklands. One of our goals here is to one tag, and we need to be inside of a trading company region to, a colonial region to not form colonial tags. Well, I want to move to New Zealand, and I want to be in Australasia because we want the overseas culture conversion cost reduction on the entire New World. If I was on America, then basically all of America, because of a land bridge here, would not get that modifier. So we can more or less convert all of this for free by being in Australia. Now, we could convert all of this for free theoretically by being in the old world, but you form colonial nations. In order to move your capital to a colonial region, it needs to be a lone isolated province on the entire continent. This is not a colonial region, meaning we can move our capital here, and by moving our capital there, it will be completely alone in South America, fulfilling the requirement to actually move our capital to New Zealand, which I chose the Falklands because it's closer proximity to New Zealand than, for example, Bermuda, but it's also higher development. So these two, we have to move our capital twice, and it's going to be absolutely punishing on my admin points. It's going to be ridiculously expensive, right? And I'm not happy about that. However, it's a necessary thing that we need to do to achieve this. And the point that I'm trying to make is once we move it here or here, regardless, we can actually trade and company all of Western Europe. And that's going to be really important for what I was just speaking about. And that makes this less of a good example. We will actually reduce autonomy in Stockholm, right? That's what we'll want to do. But there will be areas that I don't dominate that we can quickly push over, hopefully, 1,000 force limit in a pinch because I don't dominate it yet. So, for example, Persia is an example here. This is all we have in Persia. I can quickly add this to a trading company, spend 1,000 ducats for 5 force limit in a pinch. Now, in the long term, the reduced autonomy would be better, but what I want to do is get this war school cost reduction as early as possible. Why? Because our next protocol, notice how desperate we are for admin, by the way. I'm getting a whopping 18 per month, which is the cap. I hope this guy lives. I hope he lives forever, the 6. Look at that. Nasty. I hope he lives. Please live forever, Frederick von Habsburg, Imperator. You are the greatest of all time. We're trying to complete expansion. So if we reach this guy here, 10 autonomy in our whole country, as we expand and chunk people, this is force limit, right? This is good force limit. We really want to reach that. And we also, what else are we doing with my admin? I need to move my capitals. Like I just said, capital, that's hundreds and hundreds of admin points. So we're lacking on admin points, despite getting 18 per month, which is absolutely massive. So we do want to annex people, needless to say, but we're lacking on admin points. So this is the protocol, guys. We don't have time. We do not have time. I remember my last run was 1750 World Conquest. 1750 World Conquest. So not one tag, not one faith, not one culture, but World Conquest. Everything was ourself or our subject. 1750. And by that logic, guys, you can see how close we're getting already. We're like 73 years away from that mark. I would like to beat that if possible. 73 years. So if we look at certain variables, we have 20% reduced war school cost here, 30% here, and imperialism is coming down the line, which is 55%. 55%, right? 30 plus 25. 55% reduced war school cost. So just to make it simple, a nation who has 134 pretty much guaranteed because of the reduced war score cost on their capital. A nation who has 134 war score is full annexable. Now we have total war score, we're about to get the imperialism CV and we're about to get admin efficiency. We've spoken about this before, right? The admin efficiency. It's going to dramatically reduce the size of the country. But that 10% will also make the difference. Do you understand? 10%. That's what I want. Now, when the Age of Revolutions occurs, which is, it begins at the spawn of the Enlightenment, 1700, which is 23 years away. It takes 10 years to fall to the Age of Revolution. So we're talking about a 33-year window. Then we lose this admin efficiency, 5. So right now, we're actually peaking out on admin efficiency. As soon as we take this, we're going to peak out on admin efficiency. If we look at that Tech 27 admin efficiency, it's just too late to be relevant, guys. It is relevant. It definitely is relevant because it reduces, for example, Diplo annexation cost reduction. But I'm hoping the world is already ours by Tech 27. So going into the future, this is peak admin efficiency. And we have a window where we're actually going to regress in admin efficiency. That 5 is really valuable, right? We're going to be at 75 and we're going to go down to 70. That's a big portion. So what I'm desperately hoping is that I can get every modifier at the same time. We want this provincial war score cost reduction at the same time. And it's going, I mean, the 10% reduced war score cost, if we look at someone like Lang Zhang, we're looking at 17, maybe because it's 17.8, maybe rounded up to 18 war score cost reduction on that. But then that is before we take this, which is going to make a huge difference. So, I mean, it's literally going to make it so. So if we look at great powers, let's look at Bengal, 6th great power of the world. Yeah, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if we could full annex Bengal. I wouldn't be surprised. And to reiterate, because we're lacking an admin and we're going to try to gobble up the world so quickly, what we wish to do is full annex a nation like Bengal, release them as a vassal as opposed to coring them whilst we're probably overextended coring something else, enforce religion on them, put my prestige into buying them down, and within 10 years annex them into the country because we have insane Diplo annexation cost reduction, and rinse and repeat. That's what we're going to try to do. So there are some nations I know who are just simply too big. Like Virginia is too big. Obviously Ming is too big. Though they will have to be done the old-fashioned way. But I'm seriously hoping between that tactic and also feeding them to Russia, splitting them between Russia and myself, I'm really, really, really hoping that we can have one of the cleanest and most decisive sort of world conquests from this point of all time. It's going to be up to me big time to really have an omniscient kind of force everywhere at any given time. We're going to have units stationed in the New World everywhere to just consume everything as rapidly as we can. But that's the kind of tactic and approach that we're going to be taking. And like I said, I really want to get that 10% war score cost reduction while we're picked out on admin efficiency with enough of a window to, all we need is a window of opportunity to where we can full annex, let's say Bengal. It doesn't matter if before or after we cannot full annex them, as long as we can full annex them within like a 5-year window. And then in that 5-year window, we do it, we get it done. And then once we lose the admin efficiency, we can move on and do the same tactic to a nation like Japan, which we can clearly do. I'm literally going to be able to do that even now without the war cost reduction. Do you see what I'm saying? So we want to get those, we want to peak out and get nations that otherwise would just be completely undoable. But that's what we're gunning for. So I'm racing for this 1,000. It's about 600 force limit to go. But I am determined that by getting reduced 5 autonomy in all of Western Europe and every area that we trade in company, because we'll be able to trade in company Western Europe by moving my capital, by getting 15%, right? I mean, pretty much every province is going to be a trading company, 5% reduction autonomy, and then the 10% here. And by trying to prioritize this building, I'm determined that we're going to, and of course, it's just expanding in general, we're going to get it. We're going to get it, and it's going to be hype, and we will consume the world first. They will be annexed. Then they will be converted to the one true faith of Hussite Christianity. And then they will be converted to the one true culture of Rome. And then we can freak out and be a nerd and say, I hope you guys are enjoying and hyped. I hope that was a sufficient update. There's so much going on. I actually had the best stream I've ever had, guys, in terms of views today. 1,300 views without being raided or anything like that. So that makes me feel good. You know, I am actually genuinely able to have like a career, it seems, doing this kind of thing, which I'm really stoked about, and that's thanks to you guys. I hope you guys feel good too. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you live or in the next video.